he'd work a show. I remember he called me one night and he's like, hey, how'd you like to have a 300-pound Indian on your show? I'm just like, oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not going to say no. So I'm like, of course. So he's like, well, he's going to be wrestling like the weekend in West Liberty. Why don't you come up and check it out? It's like, okay. So I think Wicked was there. I know Bodyguard was there. I think Wicked and Bodyguard went with me. Went up there, and I remember the conversation. It was like literally so quick. You were there. We walked up to you, and you had a little skinny me walking up there, and hey, man, you're going to be working on my show on blah, 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 blah. And you shook my hand, You're like, all right, thanks. Or like, this is really quick. And then you turned around and it's ignored me. I'm like, I remember we turned around like, okay, so that's it. So what's going on, guys? This is Mike here once again with Chitty's World on behalf of Chit Chat Wrestling. And thank you guys last week for tuning in. If you saw my interview with Latin Thunder, Juan Forno, excellent interview. And the prior week before that, we talked about ECW with Mr. Extreme Mick Wicked, a.k.a. Kevin, with a Y, by the way. But this week, we have another fun one. It's going to be a fun one for me because it's with the guy that I have known for many, many years. He's been in the wrestling industry for quite some time. Had the opportunity to, book him on a wrestling show. Him and I became pretty much partners, co-promoters, and we took a wrestling company here in the Midwest, took it and we grew it together, and we had so much fun doing it. And every day I think about it, and it's a big part of my life and something I really miss, but I'm just glad I got to spend it with him and do this together as well too. So with that being said though, again, this guy has been around for quite some time. Held many championships. I mean, a ton of championships all over the U.S., even in Puerto Rico and such as well, too. He's in Hall of Fames. I know he's in a few. We'll have to ask him about that. But with no further ado, welcome my guest here, guys. I know him as the Broken Arrow Monster. I call him the Chief, but otherwise, Chief Attakullakulla.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Welcome on in. It's been quite some time, man. First things first. I know we talk on Facebook and such every once in a while. Unfortunately, we don't get to see each other in person as often, but we need to definitely change that at some point here. We talked about it. But with that being said, though, what's up, man? Like, what the hell you been up to? What's going on?
Well, a year ago in May, I retired from professional wrestling after 37 years in the business. And, people from MXWA that are watching this right now are probably like, who's this guy? I thought you were going to have the Chief on here.
I said the same thing when you first came on. I was just like talking about the hair, like just so used to the mohawk. I saw it for so many years, black and pink, both.
Yeah. They're probably like, who's this old man? I know, when I let the mohawk grow out and quit coloring it pink, and all of a sudden my hair came in gray. I had black hair before. I had, in between the mohawk, that was my natural color, was black. But my daughters keep getting on me about, Dad, you need to dye your hair. You look old. You look older than. And I'm like, yeah, I'm older than I act. But
yeah, exactly. That's hilarious, though. Yeah, when I first met you, you had the black mohawk, and then eventually the pink. So.
Yeah, I always had the pink back in the 80s, and then when I went to work for Troy at IPW, because I was always a heel, he wanted me to be a face, and then I let it go back to its natural color for a little while. But usually, for my entire career, except for maybe a year, I had the pink mohawk. I only had the black, small period of time there.
Yeah, I do remember a little bit of short period of that. So, I know a little bit of your story. Obviously, we know each other since 2007, I believe it was, roughly around there. It's been a while. So I know most of your story, but for those who don't know, and I don't know everything, I know you've worked, so many different shows, especially back in the day. We actually watched some old videos together of you working like back in the day. Like, cause were you on like, I'll let you talk about like let's talk about how you got into wrestling. Was it always a dream? And then also like just going back to like your early years, like where did you kind of start?
Yeah, well, the videos I think you'll remember back because we watched from like Fox Ring Wrestling when I worked for Rocky Brewer, and of course I'd worked down out of Kansas City too, in Central States and different areas over the years. But when I was a kid, a lot of people have heard this story several times, but I'll kind of condense it. Probably from the time I was 5 years old, as a wrestling fan, I watched the old Central States stuff out of Kansas City, because that's what we got up here in Des Moines and Cedar Rapids. They used to come up in our area. And then I got a little bit of AWA too on UHF that I used to watch out of Minnesota. So I used to watch that with Vern Gagne and Nick Bockwinkel and all those guys. And then course, with the advent of cable and USA Network, first we got Southwest Championship Wrestling. Tully Blanchard's dad, Joe Blanchard, out of San Antonio, Texas. That used to be on USA Networks on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And then eventually the WWF bought that time slot and took that over, which was kind of disappointing for me because I was a huge fan of Southwest Championship Wrestling. But yeah, that's something I always wanted to do. I got a hold of Bob Geigel probably when I was like 16, 17. I used to go to the matches early in Des Moines and Cedar Rapids, and I'd help set up chairs and stuff. You know, he'd let me do stuff like that. So I had told him I wanted to become a wrestler, and I weighed, coming out of high school, I weighed about 190 pounds, which is hard to believe now because I'm like, I run 345 to 360 now, a little heavier than when I actually worked with you even. I was usually around 290 to 320 back then. But he told me that I was too small for that era. I was definitely too small. He said, you need to get up to 225, and he said, you got to be 18. So I wrestled in high school and all that in junior high. So then I started when I was like 17, and he told me that I started taking all the weight gain. I started taking a lot of that, the powder, the protein powder, the Weeder stuff. And I was working all the time trying to bulk up, trying to get up to 225 so he would train me. And eventually I did. And when I turned 18, I think I was actually 19 by the time I went down there. So I started actually had my first match when I was 20 and did it, until I was 57 last year. But I went down there and he hooked me up with a mid-card guy by the name of Irish Terry Gunn. And Terry was from New Jersey, and he'd actually worked TV out there for WWF back then, or WWF. And Geigel brought him over, and he was a mid-card guy over here. So Terry trained me the basics initially. And from there, I went down with him, and I had my first match actually in Cortville, Iowa, and then I went down to Arkansas and I had my second match in Arkansas. And I tagged with Terry down there in Arkansas. But after that, I kind of learned the basics from him. I already had my idea for my character. I already wanted to be a heel Indian, which back then no Indians were heel. The Indians, kids loved the Indian boys' faces. They were like, you can't do that. If you're going to do the Indian character, they're like, you have to be a face. And I'm like, I don't want to be. I want to be a heel, but I want to do the native character because of my lineage and background. And so they let me do it, and it actually worked, especially since I went to the pink mohawk because, back then pink got a lot of heat, and I had the little pink tights. And I was only like 235 back then, so I wore the little trunks, a little white arrowhead on the back, and went to the singlet later on when I got much larger. But from there, I started doing that. I went out to Arizona, and I hooked up with Dale Pierce, who was kind of a legendary manager in Ohio and in the Arizona area. He actually just passed away a couple of years ago. I worked with him right before he passed away he was living out in Seattle, and I worked with him out there again after 25 years. I think we hadn't seen each other. But I worked with Dale, and he really taught me facial expressions, character, promo development. And then from there, I came back to I worked out in the Arizona territory, and I went back and forth between the Midwest and there for several years. And I came back to the Midwest, and I worked for Rocky Brewer's Ringside Championship Wrestling, and we were on Fox. Fox was a new network back then, and they had a station in the Quad Cities, and they were looking for. So he got us on there. We were on there it was like 1 a.m. on Saturday nights, but we were on TV, Yeah. And so I worked for him, and I got hooked up with. Then I was like 2.5 years into the business, and I got hooked up with Ox Baker. And Ox Baker really worked on me with further character development, promos, and more training. And that's kind of really the Chief character really developed after that, after working with Ox, because Ox was, a master of promos. Was better at promos than he was at wrestling. He was did basic stuff in the ring wrestling. But he's one of the people that taught me. He was a huge star at the time. He was later on in Escape from New York, with that movie and some other movies. But he taught me that character was more important than what you actually did in the ring.
Yeah,
that's what drew money. Characters and promos are what put the butts in the seats.
Yeah,
and wrestling actually came secondary to that.
That's crazy because you hear that a lot with like a lot of the old time wrestlers like Dusty Rhodes and all those guys. And like and you told me that a long time ago, and you hear a lot more now too. But it really is like facials, just your character, everything. That's why. Go ahead.
And believing when you go through that curtain, which I did. When you go through that, when I went through that curtain, I became that character. I believed everything I said once I came through that curtain. Like when I was a heel, I actually hated those fans in that moment when I came through the curtain. And that's what makes it believable. If you don't believe, then the people watching aren't going to believe. And I've always beaten this dead horse, but I was taught a long time ago, and I believe it's still true to this day. That's why moves don't matter as much. Good wrestling is drama and emotion. You got to bring out emotion in the fans to get them emotionally involved and emotionally connect with them, whether they hate you or love you. You have to emotionally connect, because 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, they won't remember what you did, but they'll remember the way you made them feel.
Yeah, that's very well said.
And that's more important. And I always preach that to young guys when I was training, and even to this day, I try to be very uninvolved in the wrestling business in this day and age, because I'm not really fond of it now so much. But still, that I still, when people do ask me for advice, then I will give them some, and they can take it or not. But I always preach that to them. I'm like, it's not about moves. And you always hear the old timers say too, and it's very true. It's the little things in between the moves that matter more than the moves.
Oh yeah.
Everybody does the same moves you do. I mean, somebody does. If you do a move, there's 50 other guys that do it out there. You know what I mean? Like even finishers, there's everybody on the indies and in the big leagues. Nobody's doing anything original. It's what you do in between that really matters. You
see a lot like AEW now. People are always like, "Oh my god, they had this great match. I don't know why they're not getting viewers." It's like, it's cool that they're having all these flippy matches, all this stuff. That's cool. But there's no story, there's no character development, and it's just like, that's why people aren't tuning in, and why they're tuning into other, to WWE and stuff, because there's, the bloodline storyline. They're telling stories.
Yeah, it's like the bloodline is the new NWO.
Yeah,
and it's the characters, and it's the emotion they bring out. Like the Roman Reigns has done in recent years. He doesn't do anything out of the ordinary or anything spectacular in terms of moves. He uses a spear. How many guys use a spear? You know what I mean?
Everybody.
What you do in between and what you do leading up to that, and it's the emotion you bring out in the crowd and how you build the story. That's much more important. And I mean, they're showing that right now, obviously. When you got one promotion that's selling out everywhere and another promotion that gets 2,500 people for TV, and the thing is, they have some AEW. I don't want to get on them too long, but they have some good workers. They just need story, and they need to use them right. They got people there like Bryan Danielson and people that know how it should be done. Yeah. And they do it, but of course they're not in charge. So, I mean, they're going to do what they get paid to do. But
Right. Yeah, we can go on and on about that. Trust me, that's a whole nother topic.
That's why I don't break on the workers a lot, because it's more on the promoter and the booker. It's not the worker. True.
So let's fast forward a little bit, because I was going to talk about MXWA for the MXWA fans towards the end here. We'll kind of spend some time on that. So let's fast forward. When you first started, so you went and did a lot of Puerto Rico stuff. And I know you're very, very huge on the Puerto Rican scene as far as like wrestling, and then just you in general, you love being there. What kind of brought that on, and like where has that like gone? I know you've gotten some awards and like Hall of Fame and stuff over there too. So
I just went in. I just got back from their 2 weeks ago, and for their 31 year anniversary show for HSW, and they inducted me into their Hall of Fame, and I am the only non Puerto Rican wrestler that's in that Hall of Fame. So that's like, I'm in 28 different Hall of Fames right now, but that Hall of Fame is the one that's most important to me.
That's one right here. Right?
I don't read any of the other ones, because there's probably going to be promoters that I worked for that listen to this. And I had my last two matches were there in Ohio, and I worked for all over in Ohio too. And then I went into their Hall of Fame in December, and that was a big prestigious thing for me too here in the States. But definitely Puerto Rico, because to be able to go to a place that speaks a different language, and to be able to go to a place like that and get over the way I did, people have embraced me. Like, even though I was a heel my entire career there, I've been going over there now for 13 years, and HSW for 11. because I wrestled for 3 other companies before I started working for HSW over there, but I've been with them the longest. But yeah, to go over there for that long and to be embraced, and they call me, they tell me I'm an official Borinquen, because Borinquen is the original Puerto Rican people.
Oh, okay.
That's what the island was originally called, Puerto Rico, and so they always tell me that I'm an official. I know when they did the Hall of Fame speech, of course, it's up there, but it's all in Spanish. So, people that watch it that don't speak Spanish probably don't understand it. But they actually, sure. Mr. Dollar, who was one of my biggest opponents, he said that I am more, and he's from there, but he said that I am more Borinquen than him, and that was actually an honor that he said that.
Damn, yeah, I remember seeing some pictures of you posted with him, and you talked about him before too. So.
And Raul Sanchez, who I worked for on the other side of the island, Iman Latin Wrestling, I worked for them too, and they worked together with HSW. One ran the eastern side of the island, one ran the western side. Raul was probably my biggest feud over there, and we drew huge crowds for the pandemic. And then the pandemic kind of happened in the middle of our feud, but Raul passed from COVID, unfortunately. And, he was a big part of my career over there too. And then, of course, Chicky Star and Savio Vega. I had huge feuds with both of them over there, and were a big part of Chicky putting me over for the IGWA heavyweight title. Was a huge thing for me over there, and really launched me. I was already getting well known and popular, but that just put me over the top, because when I pinned Chicky for that title, I think he hadn't lost a match over there in 6 years.
Oh wow!
Really,
yeah. Damn, that's cool. Yeah, because I know in between there, you're doing a lot of like other stuff around the state, and you do other stuff around the States as well too. And I know you're traveling a lot for quite a while there, so every weekend.
The area was a big area for me. And
what was that? Sorry, cut out.
Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington were very areas for me as a baby face out there in that area. Yeah. And then of course Iowa, and then of course what we're going to talk about, Muscatine, Iowa.
Oh yeah, the fun stuff, I guess. But no, you're doing a lot of cool stuff. I watched it all, and you took that Japanese, like the stuff that I first saw you start doing over here was the Japanese wrestling, like the hardcore wrestling, whatever you want to call it. And I saw you doing that over there, which is very big in Puerto Rico.
Right, and I actually did the first Taipei death match over there with
Hammett. That.
And that's what really launched me. And then that's when they brought me in to work with Chicky after that. And then Chicky put me over. But that match was a huge match. But yeah, the Taipei death match, oddly enough, because it's a hardcore territory over there. Like your main event has to happen in Puerto Rico. They grew up with Abdullah, Carlos Colon, Bruiser Brody. But they like Monster American Hills, and that's what attracted them to bring me over there. But yeah, it's just. But oddly enough, nobody had ever done a Taipei match over there.
That's crazy.
And so introduced that to the island. But and of course, the Japanese death matches I had with Mick Wicked, which goes back to what I was saying earlier. Mick Wicked was somebody who didn't do. He wasn't this great technical wrestler doing all this really acrobatic stuff. Mick is. I wouldn't even say Mick is really athletic. I'm not really athletic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
But Wicked as a character was so over.
Absolutely. It was crazy.
So people could relate to him in Muscatine. And, the more we pushed the living under a bridge, looked homeless, lived in a cardboard box, just made them love him even more. And they already loved him.
Right. I agree. That's a good point.
It's character. And I mean, we had classic feuds over there. You can bring in, not to run anybody down, but you can bring in IPW and NWA and all these other people that ran in Muscatine over the years. But the feud they're always going to remember, I think, is going to be Chief versus Wicked.
Yeah, no, I agree. I couldn't agree more.
And you had two characters. And you had such a huge size difference, but it was Davey and Goliath. Yeah. The second year anniversary show, the pop when he beat me for the title and won it back was crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane.
And I race right after that the same night, remember?
Yeah, and the crowd went crazy for that too. They went nuts. So moving on forward here, before we get into that, one more last thing. This really got me because obviously I've known your daughter for a long time. I mean, she's probably your biggest supporter. Always has been, from what I've known anyways. And I thought this was pretty cool. So I thought this was a great picture. I mean, you got the chance to work with her. She got the chance to come out and manage you and stuff. That was like, when I first saw this, I was just like, this is freaking awesome, man.
Do you know she ended my career, don't you?
No, I don't know that.
Final match, she was at ringside for me, and I had turned face. It was in Ohio. My final match was supposed to be in Puerto Rico, but they had to cancel the show the month before because the promoter had a medical emergency.
Oh, wow.
And so I ended up my final match in the States was in Ohio. My final match in Puerto Rico ended up being 2 weeks before that because they had to push that show. But my final match was supposed to be in Puerto Rico. But I had turned face in Ohio right before that. I had been face there for like 4 years, and I turned heel for 4 years, and then they turned me back face. They wanted me face for my last match, and then because they were going to put me in a Hall of Fame in December, and they wanted to put me in as a face. But on my final match, I wrestled one of my proteges, but what they did is she came to ringside with me. And because she had been with me when I was a heel, and then when I turned face, and she was at ringside with me. And at the end of the last match, I was getting ready to hit my opponent with the tomahawk driver, and Ashley slid in and nutted me from behind.
Oh,
and he
man.
And beat me. And the crowd, now she valets him. And Van Johnson. But and the crowd was like, you should see pictures. I can send you still pictures or the video. The whole crowd, everything there, with their mouth hanging open, and the place went silent. They couldn't believe that my own daughter turned on me, and she ended my wrestling career.
That's crazy. Yeah, definitely send me that video. I'll link it on here so people can check it out.
I remember in the back beforehand, Ashley kept telling me, Dad, are you really sure you want me to end your wrestling career? And I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like a full circle because honestly, like I said, when we first started doing it, she was like tiny. She was always there. Everybody always knew who she was. She hugged everybody. She gave everybody high fives, but she was always there, obviously. And it's just crazy to see this now. It's just, oh my God, it's nuts. I just thought that picture was like I said, full circle.
Yep. And she was with me in Puerto Rico when I went into the Hall of Fame. Her and Bonnie both there. And the promoters, my friends in Ohio, they're very good personal friends of mine now too. And Ed and Danica Dotson and their kids and everybody, they flew over to Puerto Rico too. They were all there when I went into the Hall of Fame there. So
that's awesome.
It was I had about 15, 20 people from the States there for that. So that was,
wow.
That was
awesome. Okay, before we get into the MXWA stuff, one more thing here is how's the book going, man? I know I have your wife's book. I bought that. So she's got her book done, and come on, man. We gotta get that book done.
Oh, it's gonna take a while. I go on the road a lot for GM. Like I just got back from Chicago last night, and I'm gonna be up in Wisconsin. So when I'm in a hotel at night, I've been working. I'm on the road, and so I got it in my laptop, and I'm slowly working on it. But it'll be a process, and I have somebody in Minnesota who actually has written a few books who's going to edit it for me. Carol Castle, you might have heard of her. She runs the Minnesota Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and Carol's going to edit the book for me. And we're getting pictures, which I'll probably be hitting you up. I don't know what all you have, but I have lots of pictures. But she wants me to get all the pictures I can.
Yeah.
From as far back as I can in my career. But I'm trying to do everything really thorough and make sure all the memories are correct. And I'll actually be consulting with you, and I want to come up and meet with you and Mick Wickett at some point and sit down and hash some stuff out. So maybe get some of your take on stuff. But yeah, I'm talking to a lot of people, and I'm putting a lot of time into doing this.
That's
good. It's probably not gonna. I'm guessing it's gonna probably be a year before I'm done with it to get it out. Obviously, there's gonna be. Probably originally I was going to give everything like one chapter, but I think MXWA is going to have a couple of chapters. So there's a lot of MXWA stuff I want in there.
It's a lot of years,
yeah, and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We had a lot of fun, and a lot of things happened. From running Muscatine, the Fiesta Hall, which there's some great memories, and then Supreme Fitness, and then we branched out JT's and West Liberty, of course. We had the shows at the Marriott Convention Center in Coralville, and there was so much stuff to cover there. And I know this book in some ways that there's going to be a lot of people because I just tell everything how it is, like I always have.
Oh yeah.
Even with my friends, there's some people that probably are not going to be happy with some of the things. Some of the stuff with my stint, with the AIWF, the affiliate program, and champion, and the way that whole thing went. That thing it was so big, and we were getting all the the press and Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and they really just ruined that because of that Good Old Boy network over in the Carolinas that the promoter kind of buckled under because those Good Old Boys, when they branched out and were using me and I was going all over the country, they kind of got mad that the focus wasn't on the local guys who originally were with them. But if you want to expand into an affiliate program around the world, then you can't just stay local,
Right.
And so there was some jealousy and ruffled some feathers there. And of course, we ruffled some feathers with MXWA because, there was people. Somebody who's passed away now, and they're mentioned in the book. Some people are going to get mad about it, but if somebody across the state that didn't understand how his quality show couldn't draw as big a crowd as the backyarders on the other side of the state.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm one of those guys that, I'm not going to personally attack somebody who's passed away, but I mean,
sure.
One thing I hate in wrestling is when somebody was not a great person in real life, and they pass away, and then everybody sugarcoats them. I've heard so many people be bad-mouthed.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it to me, too. There's people that bad-mouth me behind my back, and I know about a lot of it. But when I die, they're going to be like, oh, Chief was so great. I'm so upset. He was my friend. It's like, yeah, probably I wasn't. But this is so two-faced. I know somebody who everybody talks smack about who just passed away a few months ago. Well, it might have been almost a year ago now. And then everybody was on Facebook, even friends of mine, and they're like, oh, he was such a good person. And it's like, no, he wasn't. He owed all of us money. He didn't pay us. And, and was a shyster and screwed a lot of fans and workers. But when he died, all of a sudden he's, a saint. I don't sugarcoat stuff like that.
Yeah. I know. I think I might know who you're talking about too, maybe, but
yeah. There was a people out there, but I'm just going to tell the truth about everything. And if I get heat over it, the biggest audience for that book, it'll probably sell really well with the boys because they're going to want to see if they're mentioned in it.
You know what? That seems like a lot, honestly. Like when I hear about wrestlers talking about their books, stuff like that, that seems to be what people say. They want to see if they read it because they want to see if they're going to be in it, and most of them do.
It'll be that more than fans will buy it too, but it'll be a number one bestseller with the boys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I read Juan's. I'm almost done with it, but.
Juan's book, I got it several years ago from him. I think when I did that last MXW at the boxing club in Muscatine, when we did that, and Juan was on the show, Wrestling Beast, and I got his book that night.
Nice. Yeah,
he did a very good job. He's a very good writer.
He is, yeah, and he's been doing a lot of he's working on some screenplays and stuff too. So it's always cool, man. It's always life. He's retired now as well too. So.
Yeah, and he's one person. He's a good guy in the business. Like, we didn't always agree on everything, but I can't say anything bad about Juan personally. Yeah. He's not a bad person. He's a good human being.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't always agree on everything, but as a person, there was always going to be disagreements in wrestling. You and I didn't always agree on everything.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. That's why.
I'm not going to say me and Mick Wicked didn't. He didn't really have an opinion on anything, but.
Picking up the devil, though, guys. We're gonna get into MXWA for our MXWA fans. I got a feeling that's gonna be people want to hear it. People want to hear us talk for the first time in like a long time. I always want to do like some kind of like show where we could like maybe not wrestle, but it's like get together and talk. And I always had this vision of people coming to check us out or whatever. And I think it'd be kind of cool. But with that being said, though, I do got somebody here with me that wants to say hi. So let me go ahead and get that set up here. So that. So there he is, Mick Wicked himself.
Yeah, I'm the unknown.
Sorry, the unknown.
Okay, I thought that was White Thunder, but it's the wrong mask.
Yeah,
yeah, Rod, I lost that mask, so I got
imagine that.
This one.
Let's call you Cavron.
Imagine that he lost it.
How you doing, Rod?
Good. It's good to see you again.
You too. You want me to take this off now?
Yeah, please.
I was just gimmicking
take it seriously.
That's good to say. I like to say you look good, but I was too honest.
I even put my beard up in a ponytail for you.
Ooh, special.
You moved up in the world. That doesn't look like cardboard behind you.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, I'm at my friend's house, so.
Oh, okay.
We're having a barbecue, so yeah, it's not my house. Otherwise, I'd be have a bunch of cartoon characters behind me.
Jesus. All right, man. Well, let's really before I get into some MXWA stuff, I want to show you guys one thing here, and Chief, you guys are probably gonna laugh about this. So really quick, do you remember this? Hold on,
I just talked to Sergeant Murdoch recently.
I don't remember him balling, but I remember that show.
Oh, on the flag, and this was on the 4th of July, wasn't it?
It was the weekend, yeah. Yep, he fell down. Oh man.
Pop, and then the crowd went silent.
Yeah, I had to bring that up. We laughed so hard that.
Yeah, Tony just got a hold of me last year when I was in the hospital, and he got a hold of me. He's went through a lot of stuff. He had open heart surgery, he had a heart attack, and
shoot,
he's had cancer, and he's had a lot, but he's still kicking.
Oh man, I like to talk to him. Yeah, it's always fun. I just always bring that up because I always, it was funny. I didn't get to see it, and you told me about it later on. I watched it. I remember we kept rewinding it back and forth, like so many times.
Remember, I edited it, so he just kept falling over and over. We put it up, and he was so pissed about that.
Yeah. Yep. So, I want to talk about how we kind of first got started. So obviously, we were doing, Kevin and I and everybody were doing the MXWA and Bodyguard, Destroyer, Glory, everybody. And it's a funny story because we were doing the whole IPW thing where we were working with them and they're renting us the ring and so forth. And Troy would always throw on people like Beef and Big Picture and all those guys, kind of like the newer guys. And I want to give them a chance to get them exposed to the crowd, yada yada. And he'd work a show. I remember he called me one night and he's like, hey, how'd you like to have a 300-pound Indian on your show? I'm just like, oh yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not going to say no. So I'm like, of course. So he's like, well, he's going to be wrestling like the weekend in West Liberty. Why don't you come up and check it out? It's like, okay. So I think Wicked was there. I know Bodyguard was there. I think Wicked and Bodyguard went with me. Went up there and I remember the conversation. It was like literally so quick. You were there. We walked up to you, and you had a little skinny me walking up there. And hey, man, you're gonna be working on my show on blah, 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 blah. And you shook my hand, You're like, all right, thanks. Or like, this is really quick, and then you turned around and it's ignored me. I'm like, I remember we turned around like, okay, so that's it. So, but regardless, though, end up working out. You came in. You wrestled on the first show. It was in November of 2007. Retribution. I think that was the first one.
I kind of felt like they were always, in the back of my head, like they were sitting back there watching us, and I just kind of felt like they were always thinking, oh, they're fucking backyarders, and we were.
When Troy Peterson asked me to do the show, if I would, because he sent me and AJ and Montoya down, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because I wrestled as a face, and then in the tag match,
you wrestled against Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and then the next time I wrestled Montoya because then I turned later that night. That was the big. Yeah, because I turned the first night, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was after the Destroyer match, and then it was the power bomb heard around the world.
Yeah, all that. So it was
Muscatine anyway. But I remember when Troy got a hold of me and wanted to send me down there with those guys, and he told me the deal. He sends the ring and usually a couple workers. And he knew I lived not that far from there,
Mm-hmm.
I was down in Iowa City then. And he told me, he goes, there's some good guys. There are a bunch of backyarders, but they're not bad guys and all that stuff. And he's like, I hate to ask you to work on it because, I was a 20-year veteran or something at that point.
Yeah.
Or more. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'll go down there and work with them, And so I did, and I had fun. And of course, me and Kevin bonded right away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you guys had the same style and everything. I mean, I always look at it like this. It kind of always offended me a little bit because like, I know like Troy would always give us like the little guy, like the newer guys, but then I think he started to see and started to hear like the rumblings and like kind of saw like the crowds that we were drawing. And sometimes they're bigger than their crowds. And then I think he's like, all right, man. So I'm going to let you have the IPW World Champion on your show. I'm like, okay, whatever. So he put him on there and stuff, and it helped us. It helped
us. But his rule was his guys had to wrestle his guys. Remember?
Yep.
And then. Yeah. Because then I got some flack from him, which I didn't care because I wasn't one of his guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got some flack from him. Then when we set up the thing with me and Kevin, because of course AJ and those guys went back and told him. Because then we talked, and Kevin and I talked. I'm like, we should do something together. I'm like, we can do something. And then we set up the whole powerbomb thing, and then set up, the Japanese death match, and of course those guys went back and told Troy, well, he's going to work with one of those guys, and of course, and Troy's like, well, I don't want you working with those guys because, it might make you look bad or what if you get hurt. And I'm like,
damn, I didn't know that.
I'm like, this guy's like $150. He's like half my size. Yeah. I'm like, he's not going to hurt me. And I'm like, I watched Kevin that night enter with Destroyer. I'm like, I can work with this guy. But I'm like, I'm doing it. I mean, I'm like, I wasn't one of his guys he trained. I'm like, you're not going to tell me who to work for. And I don't, that I don't let anybody tell me that.
Yeah.
But I remember we went out to eat after the show, all of us, and then Kevin and I were just talking, and we just kept building up, and well, let's do a Japanese death match, and then we just kind of built the whole angle. And I'm like, this is going to be fun. But I'm like, when we decided to send me out that night, and I think it was somewhat spur of the moment, I talked to you, I think maybe at intermission about turning heel, didn't I?
Yeah.
We were talking about doing it, and at the end when Kevin beat Destroyer, then I went out there and because we did the whole thing where he accidentally hit me with the chair, remember, in the tag match.
Yep.
And then but I'm like, and then we did the power bomb, and the way that place was and the way Kevin was over, and then they liked me when I was in tag match, but then it instantly turned me, which I like being a heel, and you guys know that. But I'm like, we can make some money with this.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, we were doing things that nobody else was doing. I always look at it like this. It's like we were telling go back to what you were saying earlier. We were telling stories in our show. This wasn't match after match after match. We were telling stories, and that's how we were drawing people in. I want to show one quick footage really fast. I believe this is probably, things like this is what kind of made us like.
Yoka, what were you saying? He got a call from his
things like this.
Peanut butter and jelly?
You bet.
I had to go to work.
You know how it goes. Your mom calls and it's time for lunch.
Oh yeah, I guess it is getting to be about lunchtime. Is it?
Look, I got my steel toes on.
Well, what the?
What? Look, here we go.
The tracking's bad, sorry, but
look at this. Now this is some wrestling right here.
We have
that's the
Chief is here.
There we go. Whoa!
Oh yeah! You ain't fit. If you can make it.
Oh my God!
Now that's some wrestling. There's the Chief.
But stuff like that, we were incorporating, and we knew what we were doing because we were in the hometown, so we knew people were going to watch it. And if anything, just think if we had social media back then.
Built up to where it was must see, and remember that crowd? Both years.
God.
Anniversary, 2-year anniversary. That was the same main event, and it was huge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first year was huge, but the second one was even bigger, but yeah, things like this.
The hair versus hair match, right?
What's that? Sorry.
What's that?
I said you and Mike Soda. You didn't have the hair versus hair match?
Yeah, we did like a
that was pretty hot too. And then the Japanese death match.
That was the thing too. We didn't just have one story and a bunch of matches like a lot of indie companies did. We had usually like at least 3 matches on the show were a storyline.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Mike storyline, you and me had a storyline, and we'd have like a tag team storyline or something. But it wasn't just like one match with a bunch of filler underneath it, which a lot of companies do. We had a lot of matches. We always had at least 3 of the main matches on the show had a ongoing storyline, and that's what draws.
Like the stuff when we had like Ashley when she got abducted. Remember she got kidnapped on the show, and you came out in the taxi. Like you don't see that like a lot of times at the indie shows.
No, we were doing stuff that they weren't doing on the indie level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why we drew so well for quite a while. Like you said, people were getting invested in our stories.
Yeah, look at the crowd there. That Fiesta Hall's packed.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, the Fiesta Hall was amazing. What do you guys...
It was like 50-50.
Yeah.
But me and Mick Wicked had such chemistry, and even going into the second show, people are like, yeah, that's the night Kevin beat me. He didn't have any memory of anything from that point on in the match.
No, I didn't.
But he was out on the stage, but he finished the match. But one thing about that too, you know, when we're going in that second show and stuff, and I remember like IPW and Troy, and I wasn't really doing much for him then. I kind of branched away from him, but I was still doing, you know, spot stuff for Troy, and he's like, so you're gonna, you know, he figured I was just gonna go over 2 years in a row, and but we carried that feud out forever. And I said, no, Kevin's going over it, and he's like, that's not going to be believable for somebody that small and, you know, not muscular to beat you. And I said, we'll make it believable, and we did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you guys did great. That Japanese death match is always like one of my favorite things about that. And even like I was watching the other day, I think it was Summer Heat, when we did the outside golf club or golf course.
Yeah. I wrestled dang it.
Tommy Ace in that show.
Tommy Ace.
But Rod was on there, and I remember the main event of that match, and you guys did like all the car stuff. And remember the car? Remember like you
the windshield?
Yeah, and that lady bought the car. Remember, we drove it home. I think you drove it, or somebody drove it home. You guys had blood.
I did. I was all bloody. The windshield smashed in. I'm driving it over to her house. Somebody's following me to pick me up. Bonnie was
like this kind of accident and fucking walked away from it.
I'm just like, please see me. They're gonna pull me over. You know what I mean?
Easily.
That lady would buy freaking everything. If it had
but that was
blood on it or your blood on it, she would buy it.
That was so good with the Davey Goliath story. Even in that second match, the fans wanted Mick Wicked to win. They didn't really believe he could beat me, and then when he did, that's what made the pop so huge, because it was not predictable.
Yeah,
they wanted him to win, but they assumed I was probably going to beat him.
Oh, what's that ladder? The ladder's by him. Oh, no! That was nice. Here comes our oh! He's got 1, 2, 3, and 4! You're the winner! You're the new champion! Welcome! Come back for the year!
And then when it happened, oh my God, you know what I mean? And we did it up on the rope. I had it set up to superplex him through the table. He knocked me through and dropped the elbow. I mean, we made it believable.
I gotta say that wicked.
What's that?
Wicked kick. I gotta say that wicked kick is pretty weak on my point, though.
You were concussed at that point, and it was amazing that you even finished the match, because you were out of it. You were out on your feet for the last probably 8 minutes of that match.
Yeah, well, yeah. But
and the fans, it didn't matter. The fans didn't notice because we had them so emotionally invested. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It didn't matter if the kick looked weak. Did pop?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was emotion.
And plus, we went through a goddamn table on thumbtacks.
Yep.
Yeah,
but drama and emotion matter, and that's what we gave them.
Yep.
You know, and that's the problem these days. They do stuff, a lot of things that look so fake because they don't make it believable. You can have a much smaller guy beat a bigger guy, but you can't just have him overpower or do something. You have to make it believable, and we did. We came up with a scenario where it was a believable finish.
I was watching Aftershock 2000, and don't ask me how I remember all this stuff, but I was watching Aftershock 2008, I believe it was, and it was crazy because I was watching that and I saw remember Knight Wagner?
Yeah.
Yes.
He still does commentaries for.
He still does? Oh, wow. So he came in. I remember he came in, these people were wanting to do our shows. He came in, he made his debut there, and he wanted to wrestle, and he was coming in from training with Danny Daniels and all that and everything. Anyways, he did all that, and then that's the night that the whole Bayless thing went down. Juan Forno was on the show. Again, though, my point is that it was just crazy how we were starting to kind of get noticed, and then people were wanting to get on the show.
They were talking shit about MXWA, but they wanted to wrestle in front of that crowd.
That's fine, because I remember the fucking day that I'm sorry for my French. I remember it because we were backstage, and it's the night that it was me and I think Wicked against you. It was supposed to be Bayless, but it was Massacre because he got hurt inside the steel cage, and I came back, whatever, from turning heel. I was face now, and he was. I had heard from everybody a couple people backstage that he was pissed off. Him and somebody else, can't remember who, was pissed off because all 4 of us got a huge pop and a bigger, ovation than what they got. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember I was like, damn. I heard a lot of people, they were like, man, you're talking shit about you guys so bad. I'm like, damn.
after I retired last year, and then of course I had my medical issues after that. I had my medical issue literally a week after my last match, and I ended up in the hospital where I almost went septic and stuff.
I remember that.
I almost died last year. But it was funny because in Ohio they did a benefit show for me last October, and then I went in the Hall of Fame in December. But their anniversary show. But in October when they did my benefit show, Sam, Sam Moon, Sam went over there with me. Sam hadn't wrestled in forever, and he didn't wrestle that night, but he rode over with me. Well, I was just in the crowd. They were doing a benefit show for me, but then they had me come to the back at intermission, and they wanted me to go out and address the crowd and give a speech coming out of intermission since it was a benefit show for me. So I'm like, sure. So I asked Sam. I had my tote with my T-shirts in the trunk, and Ohio's always been good for. I used to go over there and just sell out my shirts every time when I was a face, and Ohio's been a really good place for me. And so I asked Sam if he wanted to go out with me because he hadn't been in front of a crowd since we did the thing at the boxing club. And he said, sure. And I said, let's grab some shirts. I'm going to address the crowd. And of course I looked like this because I had my hair growing in at that point. And I said, and then I'm going to do the back and forth thing with different sides, and you'll toss some shirts to the crowd, right? Because he was excited about it. He loved it because that crowd was popping and loud. And you know how it is coming out of intermission. I'm doing the guys they're going to wrestle after intermission in the first match, a service really, because you usually come back to kind of a dead crowd.
Yeah,
after intermission.
Yeah.
Right. So I went out there, they introduced me, and my music hit, and the place started going nuts, and me and Sam went out there, and we got the crowd all worked up for like 5 minutes, and we gave away 4 or 5 shirts and had the place blown up. And then we went to the back, and this veteran, and he's a good worker, and he's somebody I like, but but he went out there, and he was doing a chain match coming out of intermission. And they went out there, and the match had, I don't know why they were doing a chain match, because there was no build up to it. Mm-hmm. It was a chain match to have a chain match. Well, you kind of need a reason for a chain match. So they went out there and they did a chain match and bled, and the crowd was dead. Ooh. And he blamed it. It's almost like the Knight Wagner thing. When he came to the back, he blamed it on me. I mean, he's not going to say too much to me, but he was telling the guys in the back, and of course my daughter and everybody else back there told me what he was saying. Yeah. He went back there and he's like, well, Chief went out there and got them all wound up after intermission, and then it took all their energy and sucked all of the energy. And we went out there, and that's why they didn't react to our match. No, I gave you a hot crowd, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't get it. Yeah, the guy's been wrestling probably 15 years.
Damn, that's
and they had no build up, right?
Right, that match had no build up, so I'm like, why are they even doing
like chain match?
A chain match to have a chain match?
Yeah. Ain't gonna work like that, man.
Me and you built that, like the first Japanese death match for,
and the second one like longer.
Yeah, we built the first one for 3 months, I think. Yeah, and then we built the next one for the entire year from there. Yeah, it never stopped.
Remember the fireball?
No, the fireball was awesome. That's like
and we kept the crowd like. They say crowds have such short attention spans now, but I don't think they really do. They just speed everything up for TV. But we did, like, back in the territory days, we drug a feud out for 18 months, 2 years, and it worked. Yeah. Probably 3 years, because we kept doing stuff even after the second one, you know?
Yeah, crazy.
Me and you used to watch old school. They had the championship for, like, a year and a half, 2 years?
Oh, yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes feuded for a decade.
Yeah. Oh, man, crazy. Let's
do different stuff and keep their interest. You can keep it going.
Yeah. You know? Exactly. Sure. That's very well said. Let's play a little game here. So I got 2 little games here, then we'll have to call it quits here. We're going long, but that's okay though. We're talking. Maybe I'll make this like a 2-parter.
We could, if we want to do a long thing on MXWA, like, we could probably do like a 4 or 5 part episode. There's so much to talk about.
You know, it'd be really cool too. Is like a live.
Run.
You know what we should do? We should watch the Japanese Deathmatch Part 2, and we should all just react on it.
Put the sound kind of down, and just us do the commentary over it. And,
a lot of stuff you could do live on Facebook. And
you notice he picked the second one because he went over.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Of course. Why wouldn't he?
No, because I want to watch it because I don't remember the last.
Sure. All right, let's play a little game.
You got questions? What?
I got a little game here I'm gonna play with with Rod too, and you can chime in, of course, as you always do. I'm gonna drop 5. So the first one I'm gonna drop 5 pictures, 5 moments, and I just want you in a few words or less. Doesn't have to be long. Just tell me what you think or what you remember or just anything about these pictures. Let's start with the first one. You ready? Let's go.
This was a great moment. Yeah. This was the night we actually formed the CY? No, it wasn't the night we formed the CY.
This is way after that.
Yeah, this is way after. Yeah, because Tommy Ace is there.
Yeah. The ropes broke. The ropes broke.
That's when you turned heel and joined me, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the times I turned heel.
Fat ass broke the fucking middle rope.
Yeah, the rope broke here in the show.
In there, yep. I hit the rope in the. Yep, I remember.
I'm not saying who. I'm just saying someone broke it.
Is that a dig at my weight, or is that?
You just dig at me, so I dug on you.
All right, next picture. Now this one here is another one that you're gonna laugh at, but oh man, this is good. There you go.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking of. Now that was a good angle. It's too bad the other guys didn't kind of stick around for it, but the CYWA was pretty hot there for a little bit.
Did Chad and that other doofus even like wrestling, or they
were just there? Chad, well, they didn't like wrestling, but they liked to be a part of it. But they came to the shows drunk most of the time, and at summer heat.
Wait, right, Kevin?
Yeah,
they came.
They came drunk most of the time.
Yeah. Okay.
The 2008 show when we did that summer heat, and we all came out together and everything. Yeah, Yoakum was drunk as can be, man. And
who the hell
was bad.
Mop with?
Monkey Lion. He was
the mop on his head.
Yeah, freaking T-Dog, dude.
Look at his dog. Holy shit.
But that's what I was thinking of when he went to the first picture. At first, I had to look at it because I was thinking CYWA. But yeah, that was I almost forgot about defaction.
Oh, it didn't last very long. Okay, here's the next one.
Thank God.
So this is versus Brian Masker or Brian God, Masker. Yeah, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I always had good matches with him, like I did with Kevin. I always loved wrestling Brian.
Oh,
and,
I love that match you guys had at the
3-year anniversary. Center. Oh, that one was a Hardcore Halloween, yeah.
Oh, God, That match is awesome.
That one got a lot of hate because of what happened at the end when the, I believe it was the light bulbs splattered into the crowd.
Yeah.
And people were pissed and wanting like their money back and crap. I was like, what? That was the first time it's ever happened. I remember that.
Yeah, and the second time was when Axel Grease's balls came out.
Oh, don't worry, get started on that one.
That you stuck your ass in old boy's face and the fucking...
No,
Rhonda went all crazy.
No, that was Axel. So she wasn't mad that Chief did it. She was mad because when Axel did it, his ball showed.
Yeah, Axel stink faced me. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was Rod that fucking.
No.
It was Axel.
You always did the stink face.
Yeah, but then they held me down, and Axel did it to me.
Yeah. And his ball showed, and they got really mad.
Face. Then I turned face at that point.
Oh man. All right, here's the next one.
Except for Rhonda.
Yeah. This one just makes you laugh too, because this is good. Explain this to me right now.
Oh, that was a photo shoot we did.
That's awesome.
That was a nurse that worked with Bonnie at the hospital, and she had a horse and a farm out by Solon. She goes, "You should come out and take some pictures with my horse for promo." And she had those pink things for it when we got there.
Dude, I saw this. There's a million pictures on Facebook.
Where
I could have grabbed.
Where did you find that, Mike?
It was on his Facebook.
Facebook.
That's Facebook stalking.
We had a bunch of pictures from that day. Me riding it. We took a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
You know how badass that would be if you came to the ring riding that son of a bitch?
Oh, I know.
That'd be cool as hell. All right, last one here. Let's pop it. This is last one.
Oh, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was the last. This is the MXWA tribute. That was supposed to be the last show. We thought it was gonna be the last show, anyways. And then, I mean, thankfully it wasn't, because we ended up doing a bunch of cool stuff after this too. So
we did the Marriott after this.
Wait, what now? Sorry.
We did the Marriott shows after this. Even we did a lot after this. You know the picture I thought you were gonna put up that you didn't? I thought you were gonna put the one where I'm pressing you over my head at the Spring Fitness Center.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna post any of you beat me up. That's all right.
Yeah, of course not.
It's a good picture though.
It was. I remember that, dude. It was like, I remember I got up there and I was just trying to post for it. And then you knew what you were doing. There was a wrestler, I'm not going to say, that did a press slam on me. He didn't really know what they were doing. I was trying to freaking post and he didn't even allow me to post and then dropped me. Like, he did the.
Oh, yeah. I did. I gave you the slam and I guided you down, but I held you up there for a little bit. I let you post. And
yeah, it was great.
Good job. Yeah, no, it was fine.
You're going to have to text me that who it is, Mike, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, man, it's not a secret. It was, I think it might have been, I can't remember, it might have been Stonebreaker at the time.
I'm sure it was because he did that. Yeah, he did that with smaller guys. So
yeah,
I'm sure it was.
Oh shit! Like, give me a chance to post. Like, let me sip it for a second. You know, get some reaction.
He dropped you behind him, didn't he, or something?
Yeah, he did the gorilla press, and that's fine. But at least tell me you're gonna do that. And so, I thought he was just gonna do a regular slam, and then I'm like
Warrior shit.
Yeah, like the Warrior used to do.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting something else loaded up here really quick here. Then, so this next one is gonna be. I think I'm gonna put 5 wrestlers up, and it's gonna have you tell me what you think of them, and like.
Sorry, Rod. I didn't mean to jump in on your interview.
No, that's fine. No. It's good to be again.
No, it's good to have you here. But yeah, one or two words. You don't have to go into detail. So we'll start with first one.
Heat, good manager.
Yeah, I love him.
El Latino.
Oh,
friend. Good friend.
Yeah. That's the best thing I could say. I remember
every week.
Yeah, dude. I love talking to him. And really quick here, I don't want to get too far into it, but when I first met him, I was like, I think it was at a gas station or something like that. I remember I met him and he was we're talking about wrestling and stuff. And then like he ended up coming down even before you joined us. I think he was coming down doing shows, refereeing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when Wicked went to jail during the Hardcore Cup tournament.
Come on.
Mike, come on. We needed some fillers. And I remember Latino was like, hey, and I remember he came out. I remember that like the boys, the boys that were there, CW boys, they haven't wrestled for MXWA yet, but they're checking it out, and they freaking got the crowd crazy for Latino, and he was like over on that show big time. Good times.
Yeah, man. I remember Kevin going to jail. I can't remember what for. You didn't end up on a list, did you?
Oh no, I didn't pay my cardboard box off, so I had to go to.
Oh, the list! You just made the list.
He reffed our 2-year anniversary or 2-year.
He reffed almost everything, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
So here's Massacre.
Who was the little chubby boy that?
Good worker.
When I went through the two tables.
I like Brian.
Kevin, what are you trying to say? What? Who? What? The little what?
The other ref, like in our Japanese Death Match Part 2, when I went through the two tables and I cracked my head.
Oh, that was
boy.
Russ, wasn't it? Was his name Russ?
I have no idea. I watched that match 3 times and I still don't know who the hell it is.
Yeah, because we had 2. We had one in the ring and one outside the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you say
about a little short, chubby dude?
Yeah, I think his name was Russ, if I remember correctly. So what do you say about Massacre? I'm sorry,
a good worker and good person. I like Brian a lot.
Yeah, dude.
Oh shit, I didn't even see that. Oh yeah, hell yeah, I love Brian. Hell yeah.
He's still going at it, man. That dude's still doing hardcore crap.
Yeah, he
like
is.
Holy crap. Next one.
I talked to him several times a week still. He's just retired too, and I was at his final match. Of course, good friend, good opponent. He was my travel partner for years. We traveled all over the world. I took him to Puerto Rico a couple of times.
I slept with him.
You what?
I slept with him.
You always had a thing for boobs.
Yeah, you did. This one's gonna be a little bit more, maybe controversial, but I don't think so. But I'm gonna throw it up there anyways.
Personal feelings aside, good character.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a good character. That's weird. I was mad. Huh, that's odd.
Yeah, we were always, something would always happen, and we'd always be like, we're done, and then we'd be back next month. Are we back in the back talking to the promoter? Oh, the venue owner.
Once.
How stressful it is to run shows, though.
Dude. Yeah, it was. It got stressful. Nowadays, it's probably hard, but you don't have to worry about doing all the flyers anymore.
Oh, yeah. And then sometimes, what's that about flyers? You still need to do flyers.
Yeah.
When the fuck did you ever do flyers, Mike? It was always me and Rod.
But then, and then other things that you couldn't plan for would happen, like one of your main guys misses a run-in because he's out with some chick in the parking lot.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't say any names.
Did you wrestle twice?
You.
I just got done wrestling. It was hotter than fucking there. I went outside to take an air conditioning.
I remember we went back. We're just like, where'd he go?
Mike,
and then,
did you wrestle twice?
oh my God, here we
Were
go.
you White Thunder and McWicked?
Oh wait, you're White Thunder? Why'd you just?
No, I'm not.
Wow, you got breaking news for this now tonight.
Right?
We found out who White Thunder is.
The worst
Just
thing
gave
was,
yourself away.
the worst thing
I
was
would've never
about that fucking oh God, dude tried taking me backstage and asking me if he wanted to talk to you about it.
This is your story. I don't know how you're going with it, but
I know, but I can't think of his name.
What happened?
Tommy Ace. No,
Mhm.
I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it. I don't care. I was hot and I went outside to take a breath and I forgot about the run.
breathe.
I'm sorry.
Do you want me to tell? I mean, are we going to continue this lie, or should I tell what you were really doing in the parking lot?
I was outside taking a breather.
Wait, what you were doing, or who? What, I mean,
Oh, you think I'm out there banging a girl in the freaking parking lot?
That's what happened. That's what you're all mad about. 'Cause you thought that's what we thought, and we assumed that's what was going on. But I remember you missed that cue, and we were all pissed.
Real hard. Oh no, it was Steven Stonerager. He took me back aside and was like, so if you want me to, talk to Rod about this and make it feel better, I'm like, no.
you do that pretty good.
I was like, no, I fucked up. I'm sorry, but I don't need you to say anything.
I would have been more pissed off if you would have sent him to talk to me. I didn't want to talk to him.
You know what? That's what I'm saying. I was like, I fucked up. I forgot all about it. And I know I pissed you guys both off. I know I pissed you off, Mike. Man. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. With
Still
water under the wicked bridge. It's okay.
Yep. water under my home.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I mean, we could talk all day, but no, I don't get that. That's why. Come on, Wicked. Come on, man. Get with the program. But yeah, we could talk all day, guys. It sucks that we got I'm not going to end it. I might make and Chief had a good point when he said we can make it like maybe like a live or do like a few different parts, but I might make this one all one too. So
we could do a few because there's so much stuff we could talk about MXWA. We haven't even scratched the surface. We did that. We ran for 5 or 6 years, pretty hard.
It was 6 years straight, like hard, just like.
And for a while there, we were doing like 3 shows a month. We're doing West Liberty. We're doing West Virginia. We're doing Iowa City. We're doing spot things here and there. But yeah, we
and
Wildwood. Yep. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot. We're doing the Wildwood for the Wildwood became cool.
Oh,
now SW.
We were the first people to do the Wildwood. Now everybody wants to run it. But the whole Tommy Ace, that was another good angle. With the Wicked angle was probably the biggest one, and then the angle with Tommy Ace was pretty big too. And then came out all that. So.
I remember that. That was huge. Where he was like, he was your son and stuff. Oh man.
So a reaction from the crowd. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Yeah.
That shows they were emotionally invested in it.
Yep. And we built it up with everything that we did too, with everything that from like the abduction, all that stuff we did with Tommy.
The singles matches, that was we built that for a year or two before we went into the Marriott.
Yep.
The roll rope man, all that stuff. Yeah.
Damn crazy. All right, guys, I'm going to pop off now, and I appreciate both of you for coming on, and I definitely want to have you both back on here, and then we could talk about MXWA or even other things too. But Chief, it's always good to see you. I'm glad to see that, the book, the retirement, learn about your past and everything too. It's always a pleasure.
I come through there all the time. We're gonna all have to have lunch or dinner and just reminisce over, get together.
Yeah,
I miss you guys. I miss you guys.
Yep.
Even though we don't talk all the time, it's still we get back together. And it's like we never left off. You know what?
Seriously, yeah, it's crazy.
Sorry to interrupt your interview.
Oh yeah, whatever.
It was good to see you again, buddy.
You too.
All right, guys, I'm gonna head out, and I will see you on the next one. And again, I appreciate both of you for popping in, and Rod, of course. It's good to see you, and I hope we definitely get him, sit down and have a chat and meet again. So,
anytime. Right. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Later.
All right, bye.
All right, guys, a long one today, but man, if you're an MXWA fan, then you're really going to love this. And if you're not, you're going to want to check out some of our stuff we had. I'll post a link to our YouTube page, which I'm going to be updating and adding some more like matches and full events on there as well, too. We had a lot of fun doing it, as you could tell. Another thing, too, is with Chief Attakullakulla, the Chief, whichever one you want to call him, make sure you guys go check him out, too. I'll post some of his links down below as well, too, of some of his matches. And then, like I said, always fun to learn about somebody. They're from the beginnings to the end, to the retirement, a book coming out, getting his daughter, having his daughter retirement and such as well, too. Again, a lot of things I didn't know about, but it's just really cool to see you guys, and it's just great to see it all come full circle. So I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me on this long one, and I'll definitely see you guys on the next one. Make sure you like this video if you choose to, of course. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn that bell notification to keep up to date with all things here on Chitty's World and here with Chit Chat Wrestling. And we'll see you on the next one.